Hey, this is Brian with worshiptutorials.com. You are about to watch a short clip from a longer video that Pastor Brian Fuller and I made on how to encourage and increase congregational engagement in your worship services. If you want to watch the full clip, the full video, you can click the link below and it will take you there. Enjoy. Thanks for watching. Here's another question then. So what is it that we want people to be engaged in?
Yeah, that's the $1 million question. I mean, the truth is this: most of us who are leading worship are diehard musicians or want to be diehard musicians. We're passionate about music. We're passionate about the latest trends. We're passionate about everything that's happening in worship. We can sometimes get caught up and forget what we're actually supposed to be doing.
Right.
And I think a lot of times what happens is what we think. You know, when we talk about engagement, why aren't people singing? Why aren't people clapping? Sometimes we lose sight of this question. What do we want them engaged in? Mm-hmm. Who do we want them? I think is an even better question. Who do we want them engaged in? Right. Do we want the audience or the congregation engaged in us because we're cool and we've been working on our guitar tone and our acoustic strings are new and we got click tracks and we're rocking and this is the baddest, newest song and we got it worked out and we practiced it and we got all the riffs and people aren't engaged, so now we're like, why aren't they engaged? But it's more of like, I want them engaged because I've put all this work into this and this is special and this is good and this is fresh. I just wish people would see how cool this is.
Yes.
And that's not why we do worship.
No.
And, I mean, I think there's a human nature to be appreciated and that's fine and it can drive you to excellence. Yeah. But the truth is, in a worship environment, what we really want them engaged in is Jesus. Yeah. We want people connecting in worship. I mean, that's our role. We're worship leaders. We are leading people in worship. And if they're not engaging in Jesus and who God is, what's the point?
Right.
Otherwise, they should just buy a ticket and go see a concert of some band they like.
Bon Jovi.
And, Bon Jovi, exactly. And so there's this parameter of reminding ourselves, what do we want them engaged in? And I think once you move the focus off of, forget about, oh, we want them grooving because the song is funky, right, or we want them weeping because these string patches are killer. It's really looking at it and going, are they being moved because of an encounter with Jesus? Because I've seen the most broken down, small scale worship environments where it's like a guy and his guitar, barely singing in key.
Yeah.
And I see hundreds and thousands of people engaged because this person is leading them to Jesus. And that's where the engagement really happens, because we have to acknowledge the fact that people are not going to engage in worship without a movement of the Holy Spirit. Mm-hmm. Our awesome band is not going to move people to engage in worshiping Jesus. Only the Holy Spirit's going to do that. So we have to create environments where the Holy Spirit is moving. The Holy Spirit is present in our environments and facilitate then this true engagement of worship, which could often be solemnness. It could be tears. It could be quiet. Yeah. It could be a hand raised. It could be eyes closed. It could be so many different. It could be jumping up and down. It could be dancing around. It could be a lot of different things. But you know it when it's happening.
Right. And to that point, I just want to encourage some of you. I know a lot of you are probably watching this in very small churches, and I led worship in very small churches for a long time. And so, I've been a part of leading worship at New Hope when we put on a leadership conference, and there's hundreds of pastors and worship leaders in the room, and engagement is super high because they've come expecting to engage and encounter Jesus. But I also, for a couple years at New Hope, we have a prison ministry, and I went into a women's prison and I led worship. It was just me and a guitar and a terrible sound system.
Terrible.
And
that's an overstatement. You're being generous.
I am being generous.
Yeah.
But it was like a couple hundred female prisoners, and the engagement that happened there is probably greater than
through the roof.
Any church setting I've ever been a part of.
Yeah.
So just an encouragement to you. You can get engagement with high production.
Yeah.
Big huge rooms full of people, but the Holy Spirit works just as effectively through one guy and a guitar who can't hear himself singing through the PA, and a room full of people who have come ready to encounter the Holy Spirit.